have a treat for you today. Michael Goy, ASC, is a longtime DCS member, and whenever I call him, even at the last minute, he comes and he gives a great demo.
Except today.
No. You're in for a treat, like I said. If you don't know Michael, and I'm sure most of you do already, he's a really accomplished cinematographer, and now he's moved on to directing as well.
And producing. I've gone to the dark side.
Some of the shows are that he's been gotten numerous Emmys and ASC award nominations are Glee, My Name is Earl, American Horror Story, which he's also directed a number of those. He's the past president of the ASC, and he continues to be involved in many community organizations, not just DCS, but lots of them. And take it away,
All right.
Michael.
Thank you, Jim.
Appreciate you coming.
And thank you for the invitation to be here again. You know, I'm the executive producer, director, and cinematographer on Avatar: The Last Airbender, which is a big show, and I am the least technical person that I know. So, you know, what it boils down to for me is entirely about story and character, always. And I mentor a lot of young filmmakers, and often they'll come to me and say, where do I find my style? How do I establish my style? Is it this special filter? Is it that I can do a 20-minute oneer or whatever like that? And that's really putting the cart before the horse, because style comes from story, and the story comes from the character. So as the cinematographer, what you need to do is climb inside the head of the character, understand how that character feels in the situation that they're in, and then find ways to visually depict the world, the character, the way the character feels it. And that is where the style comes from. So all this obsessing about how do I find my style is a complete and utter waste of your brain cells. Don't do that. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about lighting then. For me, the process of lighting is extremely simple. I've broken the process of lighting down into 4 elements, and that's the angle of the light, the color of the light, the intensity of the light, and the acuity, which is it sharp or is it soft? Those 4 things control everything that I do in lighting. And that's how I get all the moods that I'm thinking about in my head. So I think about what the character is feeling like, I imagine what that looks like, and then I break it down into those 4 elements: color, angle, intensity, and acuity of the light. And then that makes it very easy for me to communicate it to the gaffer and to other people involved in the production so that we can construct the visuals of it. So let's take a shot. This is Chris, by the way. Say hello. And Chris, could I see you just, you'll start on the chair and just walk up to this mark and do a close-up. Let's frame her maybe a little bit tighter, and let me move your mark over a little bit so we can get in front more of this really nice Rosco background. Okay. Yeah, that's good. Okay, so that's where she'll end up. And right now, with these lights killed, we're at 5,600 degrees Kelvin, correct? Correct. Could we dial down the intensity of the bounce light a little bit? Maybe come down another 10 points. Woo, it got warm. That's kind of cool, though. And go back to 5,600 color temperature. There you go. Okay, so go ahead to your chair and thank you. And action, let's get up and walk over. Okay. Okay, so we do that, we look at that and we say, well, what does that say? It doesn't say anything. Why doesn't it say anything? A, because it's not tied to a story. Okay, so if it's tied to a story, then how is it affected? Let's take a hypothetical. Let's say that this is sunrise and she's just getting up and then going to the window and she's in a fairly good mood. So let's have you take a seat. Can we turn that backlight warm? Who's in control of that one?
Yeah, we're back here. I think we're on.
Okay, if we can make that 3200. And just for a second, could we take this down another 20? Okay. All right, I like the color of the backlight. Can I see you do that walk one more time, please? And can we warm up this bounce even more? You had a really nice tone to it before. Yeah, there you go. And then reduce the intensity of it even more. Cut this in half. Okay, so what am I doing? What am I doing? I'm processing through my head just subliminally color, intensity, angle of the light, and the acuity of the light in order to get me, could we kill this for a second? Thank you. In order to get me toward that feeling that I'm looking for, that comfortable sunrise, early morning feeling. But what if we wanted to change this to something? What if she's not in a good mood? All right, what if it's still morning and it's a somber morning? What does that look like color-wise to you? Darker would go more for intensity, but yes, color-wise, so darker, gray, almost more colorless. Different lighting in the middle. Okay, so let me play with this for a second. Go ahead and take your seat again. Can we? You're at 5600. Let me see where your blues go to. If you went closer to 9,000, and can we kill the backlight, please? All right, and then come up to your second point for a second, please. So can we pan or just push this light closer that way so it plays, actually, maybe pan it right. Pan it, yeah, so it fills up both of these. Let me just rotate it a little bit more like this. Okay, and can we make that light any bluer? Add some blue to it. That's very blue now. Okay, all right, that's getting more toward the grayish feeling we're looking for. Let me do this. Let me complete this. I'm going to drop a filter in there. What filter is the question? Let's see what it looks like first. This change around of lights is something that happens immediately in my brain when I'm thinking about things. And the process of breaking it down came to me when I was shooting my second feature film, and my sister remarked that everybody was always asking me questions. How do I know the answer? And it was because subconsciously I had broken down the process of lighting into these four elements. Ooh, yeah. I'm liking that. Okay, go back to your seat, Chris. And go ahead and increase this maybe 3%. Let me know when you're there. Okay, and action. It almost feels wintry now, which is kind of cool. Let me see this. If you change your camera to 3200 Kelvin. Wow, okay, that's giving me an idea. So let's do something. Okay, we can let's turn this off. You can turn on ambient light for a second. Hey, Mitch, let's go ahead and jack up. You had a 4x over here before, a 4x8. Let's go ahead and bring that up in there. You can go ahead and sit down. So the idea that came to me just now when I was looking at this extreme color shift was, what if we made this even more of an urban environment? If the character is in a city, and actually, yeah, if we can get you had a small light unit. If we could bring that to the side over here. Something that reflected more of an urban feel as opposed to an average feel. So all of these things kind of collide in my brain at the same time. You see me very, very quickly going through the possibilities. And the fact of the matter is, what I think made me successful as a cinematographer is that I react very well to everything going wrong. So I've created an entire career out of making enormous compromise look like an intentional style, because there's never enough time, money, or resources to do what you actually wanted to do. And the mistake that people make is that they try to do a scaled-down version of their original idea instead of throwing away that idea and coming up with something incredibly radically different. You can only do that if you understand the story and the characters. If you understand the story and the characters, then there are 100 ways to light something, not just one. But as cinematographers, sometimes we get fixated on this is the perfect way to do this, and it's hard to let it go. I will let go of an idea at the drop of a hat. My gaffer, John McGowan, will tell you how many times we've started lighting something, and I'll say, shut off all of this and just go with this, because it's that momentary inspiration that tells the story in a more bold, effective way. Everything that I did on American Horror Story, the 5 seasons that I was the cinematographer on that show, was not my first idea. Everything in that show was the result of the desperation I had to find an idea that would still work, but would get Sarah Paulson out at this time or get the day finished like this. So being able to understand, accept, and punt to an idea that's an even bolder choice, I think is one of the things that will take your talent as a cinematographer farther. Everybody always asks me, all producers ask me, how is it that you work so fast? And it's like, I don't work faster than any other cinematographer, really. The speed comes from being able to communicate to the crew accurate, advanced information, and then having them act on it. If you have the idea and you have the information, you need to impart it. But if you impart it to the crew, they need to act on it. Otherwise, it's not serving its purpose. It's not increasing your efficiency. So yeah, so if we have, yeah, that's great. So let's shut this one off. And we have a unit that we can throw that green light into for this. Okay. This one we can just lay on here. There you go. Do we have any questions while we're setting this up? Because I know we're tight on time. He says that we're setting up something that essentially they're like footlights, but everybody tells you that what footlights are evil, or what was it? They're not natural. Okay, this is my rule about natural and about real. Okay, our job as cinematographers is not to replicate reality. That is totally not our job. Our job as cinematographers is to create the reality that works for the story and the character, regardless of whether it's realistic. When you look at the work of Conrad Hall in American Beauty, that is not realistic lighting. When you look at anything I did in American Horror Story, that's not realistic lighting. You create a world for the audience to inhabit, and then you're faithful to that world, okay? Because you've created it. That's the thing is, you know, sometimes as a director, I'll work with a cinematographer and I'll say, I want to master over here, and they'll say, no, you have to master over here. And I'll say, why? And they say, because the windows are over here, and the light has to come from the windows. And I'll say, why? And they say, because that's reality. And again, when did it become our job to replicate reality? You know, it's the light comes from wherever it most effectively tells the story. And when they say, well, where is the light coming from? And you say, it's coming from the same place the music is coming from. It's coming from that place that makes you feel this way. So if you commit to a visual approach, you have to commit 100% all the way to it.
I think we're getting close.
Okay.
Step away. Thanks to Emily Stadulis for being our gaffer here.
Let's pull the filter out for this one. And hey, Mitch, can we jack this bounce up just a little bit more?
Actually, I'm gonna walk it on the deck.
Okay. While he's doing that, could I have you take a position number 2 for a second? Ooh, I'm liking that. Hold on. Okay, you can take your seat again. Can you, I can hold that light, but can you make this one blink by any chance? On, off, on, off?
Let me get another stand.
Okay. While he's getting a stand, do you have any questions? We can turn on the lights for questions. Yes. Do I use a light meter? You know, in a normal circumstance, I always shoot a Kodak color gray card at the head of every scene. And that's lit with the, what would be the average light. If I'm shooting 3200 Kelvin as the base color temperature for the scene, I'll shoot that gray card in perfect 3200 degree Kelvin light. And as it's rolling, I'll take it away and I'll have them shut off the light that was used to light the gray card so that I can see the scene behind. That is the best indication for the color timers at the lab to know what is intentional. Because if I'm lighting a scene with all green lights or something like that, they may look at it when it comes up on their monitors and say, oh, you gotta take that green out. And then your effect is gone. So I always give that, you know, a standard to start with. The light meter is my fastest way of working, much more so than running to a monitor. You know, so and this is because I still shoot film also, so I'm always trying to find the simplest way to make things work, you know. As a director, I still stand by the camera. I don't watch Video Village. They don't even bring me a chair at Video Village anymore. Any other questions? Okay, let's get into this. So let's go ahead and kill the this light. Wow, that's pretty evil and noirish. Interesting. Let's take the noirish idea even further. Okay, go ahead, sit down. Let me. There we had that little. Could I use your light? Kind of right, yeah, right where those bags are. If we could turn that on, and if we can borrow a gobo. Here's a gobo. Hey, Mitch, can we set up this chair in front of this light that he's got over there? Following the idea of noir, and following the idea of maybe going a little more unrealistic, because that was still a little too based in reality for me. So I want something that feels, and let's kill this light. And we'll put our chair in front of that one. There you go. Okay, and yeah, maybe make it like about 7 or 8 inches away from the light. You know where I'm going with this, right? I want to evoke a feeling of 1940s noir. So what am I doing? I'm taking the color contrast out of it in terms of the light that was coming through the window. I'm adding a light. What color temperature are you at right now? Go back to 56. Let's neutralize the color. And can we make that light 5600 Kelvin? Yeah, and then she's going to end up on this mark, so as long as it covers her here, too.
Does that work for you?
Yeah, just move the chair just a shade to lamparite. Okay, hold that right there. And then can we reduce the intensity of that light, please? Or flood it out more, if you can. Okay, just increase the intensity a little bit. Okay, hold that. And then go ahead and back to your chair. Can we make this green light, or turn off the green light entirely for a second? Could we shut off this green light? Okay, so let's take a look at this. Ready and action. Could you do that again? Just slower. Make your moves slower. Kind of slink across the floor to that place. Ready and action. Okay. Wow, this is fun. Okay. I'm running out of time, though. But we can turn on the lights. So we've gone through, 5 lighting scenarios in 20 minutes, basically. Now, you can sit down. Obviously, we would refine the direction that we're going in, but it's really the inspiration. It's the spark of what leads you to where you're going to go, and then what is the process by which you can get there from a technical means with the resources that you have in mind. And it doesn't matter how big or how many things you have or how much space or not that you have. It really comes down to the concept, and is that concept something that you can communicate in terms of the elements that are required. So.
Michael Goy does it again. Fantastic. I'd also like to recognize Chris Salas, our model. Emily Sedulis, who got called in unexpectedly to be the gaffer. On the board is Ron Sill and our wonderful key grip, Mitch Gobin.
The crew right now is saying, God, I hope we never work with that guy.
And Conrad Hunziker pulling focus by himself and
Yay.
operating. He's our DP today.
Great job, guys.
Thank you so much, Michael. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Tim.